beyond. It was just, you can't put words to it. But you've saved everybody's saved a lot of people just being there, being a quick response. So.
I've got to touch on one more. Ray Smith over here. I don't know if y'all, the ones that don't know him, Ray Smith is a man that, he trains all these pilots that goes through the Navy's training out there, sea survival. And Ray is not only just stop thinking about this search and rescue, how far it's come, as you mentioned a while ago. But Smitty started out at North Island in San Diego, North Island base over there. And they had him out in a helicopter. They set him up on a job and said, look, you're going to have to train. In fact, I ought to let you tell him. Smitty, go ahead. I'll be shorter.
Well, back in the early Vietnam War, our jet guys would get shot over land, and of course their idea was to get back over water, where we pretty much owned, and then they would eject, and they'd land in the water, and the goops wouldn't go after them until the helicopter would come. And at the time, the helicopter was letting the guy down on the string, the cable, and it took a while, and they would shoot the helicopter down. And so the idea was, hey, let's find a faster way of getting the guy out of the water. So as a Navy diver, we taught the guys to use scuba and jump out of the helicopter. Little bitty tanks on the back, and jump out of the helicopter. The helicopter would be going about supposed to be 10 knots and 10 feet above the water. And at first, most of them were more like 30 and 30. But we trained them, and several people were rescued that way over Vietnam.
That brings to mind, Smitty, were you on the helicopter the night that Bud and all over there when they took the old 53 Sikorsky that a Life Flight had, one of the first helicopters, and the bridge was out at Perita Key, the old drawbridge, and they were going to award Bud the Silver Cross for flying the helicopter when the ship light came on, and they had to set it down. They said the doors opened up and all his gear come slinging out. He took off running and everything. Were you on that?
I must have been.
The Navy was going to award Bud the Silver Cross for
being a coward, because I'll tell you right now, when that guy said, hey, we're just jumping all over the place. He says, put on a helmet, you know, and I put the helmet on. He says, we had a chip light come on. I said, what does that entail? He says, the helicopter, we're gonna lose the rotor. I said, oh Lord, and I looked over and had my diving gear. And I said, well, here goes me and my diving gear. What am I doing up here in the air anyway? And he set that thing down on the beach out there. And when that door opened, son, I went out there with my gear, and I said, don't worry about me getting back on there. But had it not been for him, every time you turn on your TV and you think you're search and rescue, hey, we have the man here that started that stuff that's going on now around the world, and especially doing Katrina and everywhere on these buildings. This fellow right here that was a member of Search and Rescue is the one that started that stuff. And this one back here, that boy, I want something tough. He's coming out of junior college. He said, I want something tough. And we went on a few missions. I said, why don't you join the Marines? He did. He went over in Vietnam and they had him in a recon force, you know. And when he come back, he still had the guts to say, I'm still in it. So, you know, it's that kind of people,
yeah,
like
a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people that's willing to share, and that's what it's all about.
A lot of talent that Escambia Search and Rescue sent to other people. Bud and I was on Lee Bridge one night at 3 o'clock in the morning. Wind blowing out of the north about 30 miles an hour, and the wind chill was about 12 degrees, and fans went off the bridge. They sent what they thought was Alabama Search and Rescue from Baldwin County over there, and they jumped in the water. They wouldn't let us get in the water. The van had been in the water for a couple minutes. Hypothermia might have set in. We might have been able to save the guy, but they waited for an hour for Alabama Highway Patrolman to come from Mobile to put the divers in the water. They put the divers in the water. Divers said, yep, he's in there. So we got him tied with an extension cord to the steering wheel. So they started raising the van up. The windshield fell out. He fell out, dangling by an extension cord by his leg. And they said, cut it! And they just cut it and let him fall in the bottom of the boat. Bud said, well, looks like they need some more training.
Somebody else? Over to Skip.
I'm Skip Giles. I came here from I came here in 1972. I was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps and a diver, a Navy diver, an old recon Marine. And got to talking to the guys down at the base and all that, and Ray Manuel, and did some work with him. And he said, well, you need to get involved in this Escambia Search and Rescue bunch. And they're a bunch of crazy people that swim around down in the mud and all of that. So I said, okay, so I contacted Raymond and whatever, and I get a call one morning. It was daylight, and up on the river, up around Molino, somebody had gotten off down in there and gotten drowned, and there was big old loggerhead turtles down in there, and a lot of logs and debris on the bottom and all of that. And I'm standing around not knowing anybody that much, and old Bud kind of looks at me and he says, "Well, you're supposed to be a hotshot marine diver. Why don't you pop on in there and see what you can find, boy?" So I kind of stepped off down in that water like a dumbass, and got the feeling around down in there, and I was in the water for probably 35 or 40 minutes. Finally, I came back, and he says, "Well, you'll do. We'll take you." So I was accepted.
Would it be great? Anybody else?
I'm James Reynolds. I was a diver. Started in 1962. Did a lot of diving, most of the Bud and Mentor.
That's frightening. That is a myth. If you don't mind, could we hear some of your people and what they're doing and their roles? And it was not just about diving. Please, you know, I mean, foot soldiers, and it's just amazing. Just, I remember you talk about Lillian Bridge. Went there one time, looked for a body. We found more stolen vehicles on the face of the earth. Motorcycles. We said, "There's a car lot down there, you know, motorcycles."
That was a dog track road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Dog track league.
So we're good. You guys. Everybody.
Brett Jennings, been there about 3 years and really just getting started.
Dive. Right.
My name's Clint. I'm the dive commander currently. I started in 2003. I got picked up by one of my neighbors, Danny Beaver. He was a diver for probably 10, 15 years. He got me to join. It's amazing listening to the stories. I can tell you, we're trying to keep up the tradition. We started last year working with Homeland Security and the U.S. Coast Guard in an underwater terrorism program. So we're trying to carry on some of the stuff that's been started ahead of us. But just happy to be here. Thank you very much for all that y'all have done.
I'm Suzanne Stanton. I've been with the unit almost a year now. Just, again, getting my feet wet and trying to figure out what's going on. It's such a pleasure to be able to hear you gentlemen talk. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Mike DeVoe. I'm the support commander. I've been here about 3-4 years. And just to tell you guys that you did an awesome job back then with nothing at all. I mean, I'm sure it was baling wire and chewing gum if it didn't work, and did something else to make it work. So I just want to thank you for all you've done.
You said nothing at all. I thought you meant Bud, not Bailey.
Thank you.
I tell you what, of course, I'm just a young pup when it comes to my mentor, but there's so many things that was exciting for me in my life, you know, that I just feel like I won't live long enough to tell it all, and thank God for every breath I take.
We won't last long enough to hear it all.
But I tell you, with the Navy, with our help with the Navy is the only way we've ever been able to make it.
And that's what I tried to allude to in the very beginning with Chief Buchanan, was he brought the Navy, because the Navy was just as unnerved and upset, and through the years, I remember doing rescues on Naval Air Station. Had kids, remember the cave-in?
Yeah.
And we were out there, and we crawled over fences getting exhaust pipes of jet airplanes, throwing them over the fence to go over to put them around the kids, and unfortunately they died, but they had dug in the back of a wall. But I mean, the Navy was there, but the Escambia Search and Rescue took the lead. I mean, now think about that.
Yeah,
all this expertise. And our people were out there, and like you said, it was kind of a given that if you had a sticker on your decal, you had access to that facility. I mean, it's really amazing. But understand, it was a concerted effort. But without the Navy, we would have staggered and probably failed. But they brought tremendous resources, and
I don't think there's a volunteer fire department in Escambia County that if they took half the equipment back then out there that the Navy It was US Navy on it somewhere. Yeah.